Hey everybody, welcome to Technical. I told you a while back that I was going to start doing game reviews with a bit of a used hardware kind of twist, and that's what I'm going to do today with the announcement of Project Shitbox. So before we can start Project Shitbox, we actually have to build the shitbox. And I do have some of the parts set aside already, but some I don't. And that's what today's episode is going to be about. We are going to start the shit show by looking for parts! Alright, so before we start this video and start shopping for the parts, or part, as you'll soon find out, that we actually need, we're going to have to go over the parts we already have. Start with the basics. Motherboard, I got a P5B Q6600 combo with 8 gigs of RAM for another $50. Now, if you remember my build vlog 3, I think, I put together a $155 machine that had a similar combo. Good start for a sub $100 build. Power supply, I've got an Antec Earthwatts 500 watt power supply with 2 native 6-pin PCIe connectors that will serve us just fine for this purpose. That cost me $15, it brings us to $65. Hard drives, I picked up a stack of like 250 to 500 gigabyte hard drives, one of which I will probably use for this build, and that cost me a grand total of $10. So I guess we'll call it $1 for the hard drive, I suppose. I mean, hard drives of that volume are practically free. Anything sub 500 gigabytes you can almost get as a giveaway. But we'll call it $1. And the case that I'm going to be using is also a donor. I have no idea who makes it. It's ATX. It fits the motherboard that we're going to be using. That's all that matters. I'm counting it as 0 because you should too. You should never actually pay money for a shit case. You can find shit cases anywhere. You can just tear down a system, and after you sell all the parts inside of it, the case will usually be free, or you'll have made a profit. So any way you look at it, that leaves us with about $35 to spend on a graphics card. Seems like a tight fit, but I'm about to show you that it's not. What we're going to do now is we're going to load up Kijiji and Craigslist. We're going to go through some ads, and I'm going to sort of just take you through my sifting and negotiating process and show you how it's all done. Ready? I'm ready! So I know this part of the video might seem a little boring, but a lot of people have been asking me specifically about what I do when I'm looking for a certain something, but I don't necessarily have a model number in mind. And I guess not everyone's Craigslist or Kijiji foo is going to be as good as mine, so I'm just going to take you through the process step by step here and give you guys an idea of what I do when I'm looking for a little special something. Okay, so here we are. We have 3 Kijiji windows loaded, each with the categories that most commonly house parts that are of use to me. So we've got computer accessories, system components, we've got computer accessories other, and computers, desktop computers. So these are whole system builds that on occasion people will list individual parts in because they're stupid. And that brings me to my first point. People mislist things all the time into categories where they don't belong, and they will often sell for considerably less than they would otherwise. This is true for eBay, Craigslist, Kijiji, just about any other classified site or auction site. It is a common problem, and you can take full advantage of it. First thing I'm going to do, because I'm looking for a video card, and because I know that the search terms are specific and it's easy to whittle down results, I'm actually going to ignore the categories altogether and go straight to buy and sell. And the reason I'm doing this is because sometimes people put them in electronics, sometimes people list parts, believe it or not, in toys and games, in other because they don't know that a category exists. There's all kinds of places where people will list graphics cards because they are not in the know. They're not regular buyers and sellers of goods. So let's just go straight to buy and sell. So we have a million items to sit through here. And so let's start with the NVIDIA side. So we'll go, just put in GTX. So here we go. Now we have a whole list of shit, but this doesn't help us because it's ordered by date, which is not necessarily very helpful. So what we're going to do is sort by lowest first. If we want a graphics card that's $35 or under, I might push it to 40 if, you know, I find something really tempting. And right away we have a few potential candidates here. We got a GTX 460, which is not terrible for $20, but we can do a little bit better than that, I think. Oh, here we go. A 560 Ti, which is really not that much worse than a 570 for $30. Let's take a look at this ad and see what the guy has to say about his card. So he says, good reviews, from what I recall, blah, 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 bullshit. Performs like a 750 Ti, sort of. Okay, it comes in the retail box. This came from a friend who complained that after giving in to Microsoft nagging and upgrading to Windows 10, the card stopped working for some kind of driver problem. Alright, interesting. He plugged it in, seemed to work fine. Both connectors worked fine. Looks clean, the fan is not noisy. Boots into Windows 7 with no artifacts or other problems. Interesting prospect. This might be worth an investment, but he wants $30 firm for it, which I just don't think the card is worth. So I'm just going to mail him anyway. Even when people say firm, send him a fucking email anyway, because this has been up since June 4th. And if he still has this card, he's probably really itching to get rid of it. And he lives pretty close to me here. I'm not going to say exactly where I live. I think postal codes are okay to display on videos, right? Because like a postal code could be a whole fucking area of houses. Always send messages in full and complete sentences. Be direct but polite. So we won't just do this. A lot of people just do this. They'll go and then send that message. Like, that's offensive. When I see that as a seller, I'm just like, nope, I don't care what the number is. You didn't take the time to type a sentence. Fuck you. So what you should say is, hey there. See, this card has been listed for some time. Well, if you've still got it, let me know. I'd be willing to pay $25 for it. Now, also, you'll notice here, I mentioned in one of my prior videos that negging is something that works in the buying and selling world as well as the dating world, apparently. I don't do it in the dating world. I've never been that kind of guy. I'm certainly not a red pillar, but it works in this venue as well. I see this card has been listed for some time. I basically just insulted him. And the idea is to put it in his head that his product is not worth as much as he thinks it is. So that's the goal. Let's send that email out. There we go. See what else we can find here. Okay, another 460, meh. A 280, also very meh. Another 460 for $40. No one's going to bite that. I don't know why it's up there. Ooh, defective 660 Ti. Still recognized in Windows, but cannot start with Air 10. The green horizontal line artifacts. Yeah, it's dead. Okay. All right, well. Oh, here we go. 2 Asus DC2 GTX 560s. Okay, so a 560 could work. And he wants 50 for both? No, he wants 50 each. Oh, fuck you. Oh, here we go. A 1 gigabyte 560 Ti. $60. Okay, so these people here, the people listing the 560 Ti's for $60, that's sort of in the range. But it doesn't hurt to send them a message and say, hey, how about 30? Okay, a GTX 570 with Arctic Accelero Twin Turbo 3. Said he's asking for 70 in the ad, but he's adjusted the price to 60 because he knows that no one's going to fucking message him at $70. No one's going to message him at 60 either, for the record. Now, he's going to think that, see, the Arctic cooler itself is worth at least, you know, $20-30, even if it's used. So I don't think he's gonna bite if I offer him 35, but let's try it. Shorter messages, I'm not gonna waste my time. Okay, I think that's about it for this particular search. So let's go back up to the top, and with no category selections again, let's switch to Radeon. The 6850 for $38 is not as terrible. Oh, here we go. 6870 for 40. All right. You are a candidate. I am going to message you. There. Would you consider doing 25? He has a phone number. I would have texted him, but I'm sure the email will get to him. The card is not able to game. Okay. Well, that disqualifies that right away. Oh, Bonaire 7790. This is interesting. This is a possible candidate right here. This is basically as good as an R7 260. Would you be willing to let it go? Oops. For 35? 69.50 for $60. Yeah, let's offer him 35 for it. All right, so I think that pretty much wraps up our hunting session. And I guess we'll cut to the next scene and you'll find out exactly what I decided on. Okay, so I lied. In actual fact, I got a lot of replies, which is good. I'm going to buy multiple cards, and I think what we're going to do for fun is we're going to benchmark each of them in the shitbox and decide who wins and who will forever be, at least in the near future, the graphics card of Project Shitbox. So that's it for this video. There will be a part 2. It might not necessarily be the next one immediately following, but I promise you Project Shitbox is going to be a primary focus of mine in this administration. So stay with me.